live on the air. I'm Richard Saile.
This is wild.
Hello, welcome back to another episode of Lounge Time. I'm your host, Rich Saile, and today we are nearing the trade deadline. We have Week 10 college football. This time, this is accurate. The playoff prediction show will be this Tuesday. This time I'm serious. I looked it up for myself just to make sure. This Tuesday coming up will be the college football playoff predictions, which is coincidentally the same day we are doing the NFL trade deadline post-reaction of every move that went down. Now, we'll get to a couple Patriot trades that happened on Tuesday because you guys are wondering my thoughts on those, so I'm going to save those coming up. And then, like I said, the playoff for college football, I'll talk a little bit about it on Thursday when I give the picks, when we're back on schedule with content. We have NFL Week 9. I'm still doing Survivor picks, even though I knocked myself out of a pool that I low-key should still be in right now, but I'm in a bad pick with Atlanta, guys. But however, I will not stop until I believe one of my picks is completely out. That's how I'm going to roll. And I know Atlanta was a pick that, I switched too late, but in theory, I should have just went with my gut with the Eagles. But it's all right. I'm still going to do it for the people for Survivor picks. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start with two trades that went down by my New England Patriots. First, Keion White gets traded to the 49ers for basically him, and then they swap 6th and 7th round picks for the upcoming draft in 2026. And then moments later, Kyle Duggar gets traded to the Steelers for a 7th round pick as well. And the Steelers will take some of Duggar's contract. We're absorbing a $9 million cap hit in dead money. So, and then he'll be a free agent in 2026 after this season with the Steelers. So you're probably like, Rich, what are your thoughts on these two trades that your Patriots made? Well, this does not surprise me for the obvious reasons. Keion White and Duggar were not scheme fits for Mike Vrabel. And I knew that once Keion White was a healthy and active for this past game against the Browns, I knew he was done. I was like, okay, yeah, he's getting traded immediately. They're just trying to work out who needs him. It ended up being the Niners, who are looking for edge with Nick Bosa being out. So that part does not surprise me. Kyle Duggar, I heard Schefter say that he expected him most likely to be dealt at the deadline, which once he said that, I'm like, okay, Duggar's probably gone too. Did I think it would happen in the blink of an eye, the snap of a finger? Sort of. Because Keion White, once I seen healthy and active, I'm like, okay, they got a partner. They're just working out the compensation. Duggar, the fact that he immediately got traded, somewhat surprised because I thought maybe somebody next week really needed a safety, did it. The Steelers were like, we need safety. Deshaun Elliott's banged up. We have to get Kyle Duggar because we need some safety help. Pairs him with Jabril Peppers, with the former New England safeties now in Pittsburgh. That actually is kind of ironic because they were both Belichick safeties that now the Steelers are taking a gamble on. And they're both guys that, they played well together, but now Belichick cast-offs now with the Steelers. It's funny how the circle kind of shapes itself up. Now, you're probably like, Rich, well, what do you think now they're going to do? Because now that the Steelers took some of the Duggar contract, they have cap space, the Patriots, and they now have 11 draft picks. So what does this mean for them as they approach the deadline? Well, one, there have to be buyers. There is no excuse. You have 11 draft picks for next year, and you have the most cap space in the league right now and in 2026. Zero excuse to not make a move in the trade deadline. Now, according to Ricky Scoops this morning, I woke up they are going to land a running back. Who, I don't know. But they're going to land a running back by the deadline on Tuesday, which makes me go, okay. I mean, they said that running back was going to be a position they were looking at. But who, though? I mean, if I'm being real, watch it's going to be Jerome Ford, and I'm going to be like, yeah, that's the move I expected. Now I'm hearing names like Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard, Breece Hall, Damian Pierce. Like, Breece Hall, Rico Dowdle, Chuba, they would be good pieces. They don't move the needle for the Patriots to get from a team that can win a playoff game, maybe be a Cinderella, to, okay, yeah, that's going to get you from that to deep playoff run potential, possible Super Bowl team. Now, I get it. I never expected this team to be in that level of a category. But what I'm going to say to you is this. You got no excuse to not go get an edge rusher. Because now that you traded Keion White, you have K'Lavon Chaisson, you have Anthony Jennings, you have Harold Landry, and then you have the rookie Braden Swinson. If anybody gets hurt, your depth is fucked at that position. And listen, let's be real. Anthony Jennings is a good run defender. He sets the edge very well. He's not really a pass rusher. Chaisson, Landry, they're your starters. Swinson, is he ready for big-time snaps? That's what I don't know. That's where I'm saying you've got to prioritize edge rusher. Whether that's overpaying a little bit for Kayvon Thibodeau or Jalen Phillips. You're going to have to pay it. You're going to need edge rusher. Aiden Hutchinson just got $45 million a year from the Lions. Well-deserved, by the way. But I'm saying you have no excuse to not go get an edge rusher when you know there's going to be a matchup in the playoffs where you verse a Josh Allen, a Patrick Mahomes, a Lamar Jackson, a Justin Herbert. You know it's going to happen. And you have nobody to fucking rush the passer other than Chaisson and Landry, who have been good this season. But big-time football, you need a guy that is meant for this scheme or meant to go do what he has to do, and that's rush the quarterback and affect the game. Pass rushers can win games. Did we not see guys already with games in the past, even like this year, that potentially could have done it, that have had to take over games? We've seen TJ Watt do it in the past. I know he's a shell of himself now. He was one guy that I've seen do it time and time again. Myles Garrett's a guy now where, granted, I know he had 5 sacks against the Patriots past Sunday. They didn't win, but he literally took over the game. Granted, Cleveland won't deal him because of the dead cap money hit that happens, and they would get fucked with salary cap space, which would suck for them, but they would have draft picks if the team do it. But they've already said you have a better shot at winning the lottery than getting Myles Garrett. Max Crosby is a guy I've seen 2 years ago that just jumped off my screen continuously. The Raiders won't trade him now. And like I said, I just don't see a scenario where Jalen Phillips, Bradley Chubb from the Dolphins, even Jermaine Johnson from the Jets, where why would they trade with us in the division unless they get a really good, rich compensation deal? It's not going to happen. Those teams will never trade within the division. Although Miami did trade Devontae Parker to us back in 22, which ended up being a good 1-year thing, and then he fell off the map. But I don't see that type of scenario happening there. But I'm saying New England, I don't know who the running back is going to be. If it's Jerome Ford, it wouldn't surprise me. Chuba Hubbard, Rico Dowdle, Breece Hall, they help, but they don't elevate you to being in the talks of Kansas City, Buffalo. If Baltimore ever got hot, I would put them in the combo with them. Denver is up and coming, all right? The Colts are rolling right now. If you got a guy, let's say like a Max Crosby, Myles Garrett, you immediately go there to those teams. Jalen Phillips, Kayvon Thibodeau, they're young players. Upside, I'm a little more cautious with Phillips because he's got injury problems. Kayvon, 24, come on, man. That's a real deal. That would be great. I doubt the Giants would trade him, though. What I'm saying is this. You have to go sometimes overpay for an edge rusher that you know can get you to that window of maximizing I'm not saying Super Bowl run, but a very better shot at making a Super Bowl run. Myles Garrett and Max Crosby fit the bill as far as that. Now, they're not going to get traded. I'm saying somebody like that's going to do it. Now, Jalen Phillips, Kayvon Thibodeau, I think they are good pieces to help them because you get young guys. If you are willing to pay them with the cap space you got, not only now, but for next year and then 27 and 28, That's when your fifth-year options run out for Gonzo, and Drake May is probably going to be on the fourth last year of a rookie deal, but he'll have a fifth-year option. That's when you start worrying about cap space for guys like Christian Gonzalez, Will Campbell, Drake May. And then you see like how the other guys pan out, like Travion Henderson and your other guys from there. My point is this. Sometimes you got to overpay for an edge rusher to go chase a window. You got a quarterback on a rookie contract, and they always say take advantage of that. You got to go for the fences, man. You got it. Sometimes it requires overpaying. Now, I know they don't want to give up picks for the future. Sometimes, though, if the player's there, though, for it, you got to go do it. You got the most cap space right now and in next year as well. You got 11 draft picks. You've got a quarterback on a rookie contract. He's the guy right now. He is. You got to maximize that window. If you don't come away with an edge rusher, I feel like that window is significantly lowered for this season. And then we're talking about the Patriots is they can win a playoff game. Maybe, depending on matchups, make a deep playoff run. But they would never be in the Super Bowl talks, which, again, I did not expect going into the season. I did not. I expected them to get to the playoffs, and then depending on matchups, probably lose first round. But now this team is ahead of schedule. So now we're changing kind of what we're looking at them to be. They're way ahead of schedule, I bet, according to Vrabel's mind right now, which, again, that's why I think prioritizing an edge rusher should be the number one priority if you're New England. Now that you traded Keion White, your depth is not severely compromised, but it's close with one injury away. And that means you're going to have to do it. You're going to have to go make a move for an edge rusher. Whether it requires you to overpay or a team's willing to move it, you got to go get somebody. Now, I know people are like, well, Rich, what if they get Arden Key or Draymond Jones? They're not going to move the needle. They're going to be good pieces. They're not going to move the needle for this team being a possible winning playoff game, but you'll lose second round, maybe be a Cinderella, to, okay, potentially deep playoff run, Super Bowl contender in the AFC. That's what we're looking at, that type of move that New England's got to make. And you have all the resources that I just outlined. You cannot mess up on this. You cannot. So that's my thoughts on the trade for New England's side of things. Steelers get their safety with Duggar, which is good. 49ers get their edge rusher. However, they're still looking at edge rushers at the deadline, and the Cowboys as well are looking at edge rushers. So that is the hot commodity position I'm monitoring as we get into close to the deadline. Now, that's it. That's the last trade deadline talk I'm going to talk about up until Tuesday's show, where I'm going to have one of my friends here in studio. He's been on Lounge 10 before. We're going to talk trade deadline, and then we're going to look at the AFC, NFC, and kind of re-rank right now who we think are the top teams that can contend and those teams that are kind of just on the outside but could make a playoff push. Again, tale of two halves as the season goes on. So that's my thoughts on the Patriots trade moves and some of the trade deadline talk I'm hearing early. All of this from now on will be waiting till Tuesday. So any trade that comes across, Lounge Time, we'll talk about it on Tuesday for the post-trade deadline show. You'll have to see it then following the trade deadline on Tuesday. Now, let's get to the picks as everybody's waiting for. I wanted to start it off differently because I know the trade deadline is something you guys are monitoring, those of you that are football fans, and those of you that are hoping that your team makes a move. Well, I wanted to cover that for you. So let's get to the picks now. College football week 10. I picked 5 games. I didn't like a lot to pick wise. I do have some guarantees I like. Let's start with Texas and Vanderbilt in Austin, Texas, where Texas is 2.5-point favorites to Vanderbilt. Over and under is listed at 44.5, according to DraftKings. I want to pick Vandy so bad, but I watched them a little bit against Missouri while watching UFC with my boys. I was not impressed with Vandy against Missouri. I was not. And I know they won, but the fact they struggled on Missouri, and I look at Texas, who just had a game that they should have lost, and they came back in overtime and won. Usually, when the pendulum kind of flips one team and kind of the other team doesn't look great, the team that's trending up is probably the pick to go with. I'm going to take Texas by a field goal. I think Vandy's going to keep it competitive. Diego Pavia, he's been playing good. I just think this Texas defense is too much for Vanderbilt in this game. Give me Texas to win 23-20 over Vandy. I think Texas stays alive, but I do not think they're going to make the playoff. Give me Texas 23-20 over Vandy. Now let's get to another game. Miami at SMU. Miami is favored by 10. The over and under for this game is listed at 50.5 points. I kind of have an interest in this game, for some lines that I like here. Okay, so Miami lost to Louisville. Then they destroyed Stanford, but they really looked horrible against Stanford for the first half. And then they just exploded second half. 35 unanswered. SMU, they're not the playoff team they were last year, but they played Baylor tough early in the year. And they've been a little quiet since, but they're not a bad team. And they could score. So I'm going, okay, well, Miami, this is where Cristobal starts to unravel, where he starts to lose games as the season gets into crunch time. SMU's not a bad team, but they're not the team that people thought could possibly make it to an ACC championship once again. I like the over in this game as well. I like this to be an over. I think both teams will score. I also think SMU is going to cover the 10. I think it's a lot of wood to lay with how Miami has looked leaky-wise. Stanford's bad. We knew this. Louisville, they had a big spread on Louisville at home, and they lost outright. Okay? So, I'm not saying that SMU is going to upset them. I'm not saying that. But SMU is going to keep it close. Give me the 10 with SMU. Give me the over. 50.5 Miami, SMU. I'm taking the Canes to win, though, 30-24 on SMU. I like the Canes to win, but they won't cover. SMU will cover, and the over will hit, hopefully. I like those two for Miami, SMU. 30-24, Canes beat the Mustangs. Tennessee, Oklahoma. This is a game that I was going to take the over because Tennessee's defense is so awful. But Oklahoma's offense concerns me because it looks like a challenge for them to score. But they did surprisingly score 20-something on Ole Miss, so that tells me Ole Miss defense is not very good. I'm really tempted to change my score because I had it 30-13 Vols over the Sooners. I'm almost thinking about giving Oklahoma another 7 because I do think Oklahoma can get to 20. But I don't know why. Something is telling me just stick with what you've got, and who cares if you're wrong on this particular game. Because Oklahoma, I can't figure out. They're a team I think, number one, is overrated. Number two, I know Brent Venables made a comment that I think it was a hot take, and then Lane Kiffin responded to it early in the week. I don't know if he thought Oklahoma was a better team, Venables, than Ole Miss, which I was like, I don't know. I really didn't have that crazy of an interest of that game. But I don't know. I mean, you kind of blew a lead, so I don't know if I would say you have a better team, but Ole Miss kind of took care of business. I like the Vols to win 30-13 on Oklahoma. I think Tennessee is a team that's going to be fighting to make a playoff push. I think they can score. I trust them a little bit more. They're going to be on the outside looking in. They're going to be fighting their way to try to make a playoff spot. And considering that there's some teams in the Big Ten, there's some teams in the SEC that are going to beat up on each other, you never know what's going to happen. Although Tennessee, though, after looking at how bad they got beat by Ohio State last year, they're going to have some marquee wins, and some of these teams above them are going to have to collapse, which you never know. It's a miracle. I mean, but again, you just got to keep handling your business on the schedule and then hope somebody falters, and we've seen it happen, but Tennessee will beat Oklahoma. They got a long shot, though, to make the playoff, I think, because I think they're going to need some help, though. But they win against Oklahoma 30-13. I think they handle Oklahoma, not convincingly, but they'll handle them, I think, and they will get the win. USC travels to Lincoln, Nebraska, where the Trojans are 8-point favorites on Nebraska. The over-and-under is listed, I believe it was 56.5, 58.5. I'm going to get the number for you guys while I have it. I had it literally, I had it when I was taking notes. So I want to get it real quick. I want to make sure I'm right on this. And I think it's a 7:30 game. I want to pull it up real fast. Sorry about that, guys. I didn't like the spread in this game. That's why I didn't write it. But I'm going to pull it up right now. Here we go. Yeah. 58.5. I knew it was around one of those numbers. So, I think it's so close. I don't have that at that total my score. USC, I think, wins. I'm going to say this to you, though. Nebraska needs a win to at least boost their playoff chances. Although I think I think they're done. You're losing to Minnesota, which is a good team, and losing to Michigan, I don't think that's going to help you get in. I don't. USC will help a little bit. I don't think that's going to do enough for you to get into the playoff. USC, though, they lost to Notre Dame, and they lost to Illinois, which also doesn't help. Either way, one of these teams, you want to build some positive fan base vibes going in. I think USC needs to win more because Lincoln Riley might be the next coach gone if they do not pan out to what they should be. And USC, honestly, they have a better shot to make the playoff than Nebraska does. So I think USC has to win this game to at least, not saying they'll get in, but they're going to have good losses where they lost at Illinois by a field goal and they lost to Notre Dame, who arguably might be the best two-loss team. And I think Notre Dame will get in, by the way. But I think they'll win by a touchdown in Nebraska. Matt Rule's going to drop a third loss. I got USC 31-24. I think this game will be an entertaining game, but I just do not think Nebraska has enough to beat USC, and I think their defense is a little shaky. I think Dylan Raiola, he's solid, but I feel like he will make a mistake in a game, and Nebraska just, for some reason, they're not there yet, but they're ascending slowly into the right steps, and I feel like USC will handle business. They'll get a win that they'll need, and I think they'll get a win and they'll improve their record and improve their playoff chances slightly. 31-24, Trojans beat the Cornhuskers. Last game I'm going to do for picks-wise, Cincinnati travels to Utah to take on the Utes. This is a high point spread. Utah's favored by 10. And this is a pretty high over and under, too. This was up there, too. I think they had it, 58.5 too, I believe, or something like that. Never understood why it's that high. I know Utah's playing really good ball, and I don't like betting against Utah. However, there's a little soft spot for the Bearcats for me because they were my dynasty team for College Football 25, and they were low-key playing pretty damn good ball, and I think this is a sneaky good Big 12 team that I'm not saying is going to make the playoff, but BYU, everybody's falling in love with right now. Texas Tech is really good. They got a quarterback situation where Morton should be back. They could ascend. The Bearcats, though, their only loss is Nebraska week 1, but they've gotten better and better and better since. And Utah, yes, they lost to Texas Tech, and they got beat up in the fourth quarter. They're playing good. This is a sneaky good game to watch for college football on Saturday. I might have to freaking watch this game. That's how good this game might be. But I think this is too big of a spread. I like the Bearcats getting the 10 points on the road. This team is hot, bro. And I'm going to stay with a team that I think is hot. This is a small play. I don't love this. I'm going to take a small play. Give me the 10 with the Bearcats. I think they hang with the Utes, and I think they pull it off the upset. I like Cincinnati to win 24-21. I think Devin Dampier, I know he's a solid quarterback. I don't know if he's a guy that I feel like can make a Big 12 championship run for them. And I know they play good defense. I know Kyle Whittingham's a good coach. Cincinnati, low-key, is a very, very hot team right now as far as just everything. They're clicking. And honestly, I'm low-key picking them just because they were my college football dynasty team this past year. So give me the Bearcats, 24-20. They're rolling. I think Cincinnati gets an upset against Utah. And I think they're going to be in the hunt for the Big 12 championship, possibly sneak in to the college football playoff. Give me the Bearcats. We're going to have some fun, man. Take an upset. No one claims I take upsets, but yeah, I'm taking it for college. So, because why not, bro? Why not? Small play, though, on the 10 for the Bearcats. Just think it's too much of a spread. I said SMU. I said I like the over. Here's the guarantee, though. Here's the guarantee. I don't understand this line at all, okay? Georgia's favored by 7 to Florida and they say it's in Florida, but sometimes it's in Jacksonville, right, where it's the world's largest cocktail party. It's like that neutral site game for Georgia-Florida rivalry games. Am I missing something? Why is Georgia favored by only 7? Why? Florida just fired Billy Napier. They have an interim coach. They lost convincingly to Miami, although they hung around for 3 quarters and then Miami handled business and was like, nope. This team lost to South Florida. This team lost to Texas A&M pretty convincing in the second half. And they beat up on Mississippi State, which Levy made a questionable call. And they beat Texas, who has not looked really that great. And that's kind of their best win. How is this a 7-point favorite line? I thought, knowing that Vegas knows Georgia pretty good, I thought Georgia would have laid a lot more than 7. This should be a higher point spread, in my opinion. Florida's got an interim coach. And Lagway has not played well. Like, am I missing something? I probably am. Georgia wins convincingly. This is a blowout city. Now, I know the Florida Gator fans are going to be all over, maybe like, oh, Rich, you know, you're hating on us and stuff. I'm just being real, though. They have a good win against Texas. That's their best win. And then when they played really, really top-notch competition, the better team always handles them late. Georgia will beat Florida by more than 7 points. Guarantee. That is a fucking lock and a half for me. Georgia handles Florida. They definitely cover 7. This should be way higher than a point spread it is. This should be. Give me Georgia to win by more than 7. They cover. This should be. They will win by more than 7. I'm going as far as saying I think they win by double digits. Yep, I said it. I don't think Florida is as good as people think that this line should be. But again, the smart people know in Vegas what to set the line at. But I'm sorry, that's way, way too low of a line. Georgia should be favored by way more. But rivalry factor plays in a role. That's probably why it's so low. But anyway, that's that. All right. Let's go to the NFL, where tonight we have Thursday Night Football, where the Ravens travel to Miami to take on the Dolphins. And the over and under is listed at 51.5. Ravens are 7.5-point favorites on the road. Lamar Jackson is expected to play tonight, from what I've gathered. First game back off injury. Miami beat up on Atlanta, knocked me out of Survivor Pool. Watch. Ready? The Ravens start to ascend, and they're going to crawl back in the AFC North hunt because Pittsburgh blew it. And by the time they got to their tough schedule, Pittsburgh's going to eventually gag games up. And the Ravens, with the easier stretch, they're going to make their way up in the division. And watch. This is the game. Lamar Jackson, he usually owns Miami. Granted, the only time he did it was this particular game. I want to say it was about 3 years ago where Brian Flores blitzed the shit out of him. However, this is not Brian Flores. This is Anthony Weaver, who was a Baltimore assistant 2 years ago. Remember that, okay? I think that the Ravens, if they're smart, just abuse your ground game with Derrick Henry. You abuse your ground game with Derrick Henry. Get Lamar comfortable early. The Ravens defense, I know they've been shaky. Miami is bottom 5 in offensive categories now. People are like, well, they kind of beat a good Atlanta defense. I know, but watch. Forget what you saw last week. Baltimore's defense is going to get better. I saw them take a little step forward against Chicago. Granted, Caleb Williams isn't that great. Tua has not been great either. Don't let it yesterday fool you. Atlanta, that's a one outlier game where once in a while they'll play good. I like the Ravens to handle Miami convincingly. Lamar owns the Dolphins. 34-13 on the Dolphins. Derrick Henry, I think, will run wild. And I think Lamar will get back in a groove. And that'll be good for him because then the mini bye, they can get healthy. Ravens win 34-13. I'm staying away from the over. But I don't like the lay 7.5. I'm not betting this game. But 34-13 is what my score is for Ravens-Dolphins tonight. Now let's move into Sunday's action, where Minnesota Vikings travel to Detroit to take on the Lions. Lions are favored by 8.5. The over and under is listed at 48.5. I want to lean the over, but here's why I'm scared. J.J. McCarthy's coming back. I don't know how much he's going to play. And if we remember last time we saw J.J. McCarthy, he did not look good. He looked awful against Atlanta. Atlanta, I know, is a good defense, but the Lions, they were able to get healthy for the bye, which was nice for them. They looked pretty good against Tampa. Killed my parlay 2 weeks ago. I'm still so pissed about that shit. I lean the over because the Lions, I think, will score on Minnesota. Jared Goff, now without Ben Johnson against Brian Flores, that's going to be an interesting chess match between John Morton and Brian Flores. Now, the Vikings, Flores will blitz heavy. But Jahmyr Gibbs, I think he's been rolling. He arguably might be one of the best backs in the league. Maybe number one, although I would say Jonathan Taylor is number one. And then I would say Bijan's two. Sunday he had a bad game. Everybody has it. I would not be mad if you put Gibbs over Bijan. I would not. But Gibbs is an argument to be the best back in football right now. I think he's going to run wild. Last time I remember they played in Detroit, Gibbs went crazy. I think the Lions, knowing what I've seen through 7 games for them now, I think they're going to run Gibbs, and I think Goff, they'll be efficient throwing, but Campbell, it seems to be the Gibbs, Amon-Ra, St. Brown show, and then everybody else, yeah, fuck yous, because I have Jameson Williams in fantasy. That dude's on the bench. He's going to be a bench warmer. Stay there. Fucking dude sucks. But Lions win 35-17 over the Vikings. I don't love the over. I would take a chance at it, but I'm going to say don't do it. I'm going to lean the over. I don't love it, but don't know how J.J. McCarthy's going to be. But I like the Lions 35-17 over the Vikings because I think the Lions offense will be too much for Minnesota. And I don't trust J.J. and them to score with the Lions defense taking steps forward and getting some people back slowly, which is what they need badly. The Chargers travel to Nashville to take on the Titans, where the Chargers are 9.5-point favorites, and the over-and-under is at 43.5. The only reason I would be tempted to take the over is because the Chargers will blow this team off the doors. Okay? This is a blowout city game. If Drake May cooked on this team, if Daniel Jones and Jonathan Taylor cooked this team, Justin Herbert should cook them as well. But last time we expected that, they lost to the Giants. But Tennessee's awful. Tennessee's got a lot of players they're trying to get rid of. I forgot to mention before, Tony Pollard might be the running back New England might be landing. I would not throw it over the moon parade, but I think Tennessee is a fire sale, though, and they're just trying to, see what teams will get for some of their guys, offload some contracts. I like the Chargers to win 38-13. Justin Herbert handles the Titans. I think that it is going to be blowout city in Nashville once again. Chargers convincingly win 38-13. The Colts travel to Pittsburgh to take on the Steelers, where they are 3-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 50.5 points. I love the over in this game. This is my best bet, I think. I am telling you guys, listen, I have a friend of mine who's a Steelers fan. He has told me, Rich, this defense sucks. I didn't believe him week 3 because, A, they got turnovers, they got sacks on us. I'm like, well, that doesn't quantify as a bad defense. And then I watched Minnesota and Cleveland. I'm like, I'm not going to say it yet. The last 2 weeks, I'm saying, okay, I'm willing to concede that you guys are not that great. And the real Steeler fans know it too. So, he's watching. I am really sorry to do this. But the Indianapolis Colts are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers by 21 points. I got 41-20 Colts. The Indianapolis Colts are going to beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. Guarantee this is going to be a handily convincing win for the Colts. I'm sorry. I don't know how in the world the Steelers are going to stop Daniel Jones in that offense. And I've watched the Colts from a distance. I've watched them with the Chargers 2 weeks ago, hunting 38 on them. I watched a little bit of, I watched some bits of the Titans games. Okay. They're on a mission. They are a machine on offense. And if Jordan Love carved up 21 on you in the 4th and hung nearly 40, I can imagine what the Colts are going to do. Oh my God. Yep. Over 50.5. Guaranteed the Steelers will get points. They'll score 20. Colts, though, field day. I'm almost tempted to take Daniel Jones over in passing yards. I'm very tempted to do that. Maybe even passing touchdowns because this secondary is very bad. And Joe Flacco cooked you. I imagine how this is going to go. Colts, 41-20 over the Steelers. Guarantee Colts beat the Steelers convincingly. And I'm taking this to be 41-20. I would take the over convincingly, and yeah, field day out there. Is it Heinz Field? I still think it is. I'm just gonna call it Heinz Field. But 41-20, Colts over the Steelers. Falcons travel to New England to take on the Patriots, where the Patriots are 5.5-point favorites. Over and unders listed at 44.5. Be careful with this game. Because, hear me out, they go to Tampa next week, New England. Okay? Atlanta looked awful against Miami. Okay? And I don't know if I would say this as a quantifiable trap game for New England, because Atlanta is not very good lately. And Penix is banged up, and Drake London should go for this week. But they're kind of nicked up going into this matchup, right? New England's riding high. And Vrabel, yes, everybody's jumping on the bandwagon. I'm going to say this, though. This is a dangerous line. I would say this to you. They should beat Atlanta. I'm rooting for my team to win. I expect us to win this game. I will say this to you. Is this potentially a look ahead to Tampa at this moment? And I know Vrabel, how he's wired, they're not thinking ahead to Tampa. I'm going to say this to you, though. Atlanta's defense is top in some categories, just like Cleveland was, and Drake May lit up Cleveland. I don't know if that's going to be that way again. Jeff Ulbrich, remember, he was with the Jets last couple of years. He knows New England a little bit, okay? So I would say to you, and don't forget, this team, Atlanta, just beat Buffalo 3 weeks ago, right? Well, not 4, because that was week 5, okay? So I want to say this, or 3 weeks ago, because that was week 6. I'm wrong. I was off by a week. I would stay away from the spread in this game. If you want to take New England money line, it's your call. I am going to stay away from this game. I expect New England to win 27-13 because Atlanta's defense is sneaky good in yards, but scoring there a little shaky. I think Josh McDaniels will get Drake May settled. I am very curious to see how this defense will be now without Duggar, without Keion White, and I want to see if some of these young guys that have been doing good can step up for this game. Bijan Robinson, this is a different back than the backs they've been playing recently. He's in the top tier of backs that they're going to verse. And there's a streak on the line. I'm well aware of it. I'm not going to say what the streak is until whatever, so I'm not going to jinx us. Plus, I had Bijan in fantasy, so it's kind of a two-way thing. I expect New England to win, though, 27-13 on Atlanta. I just think this could be a look ahead for Tampa. They might be looking ahead of Tampa a little bit, but I think Vrabel, the way he's going to have this team wired, he's going to be like, guys, don't worry about who's ahead. You got to stay single focused on one game. Don't get too high thinking you're world beaters. Atlanta handled Miami Atlanta got handled by Miami. They haven't looked good. They're in need of a win. So, just saying, don't overlook those factors. I think Vrabel knows that. That's why I'm taking New England to win 27-13. Hopefully they win. Green Bay, the Panthers travel to Lambeau Field to take on the Packers, where the Packers are 13.5-point favorites. Over and under is at 44.5. Is Bryce Young playing? Because if he is, I like the over in this game. I'm not saying Carolina's going to score, but I'm saying they can put enough points up. Green Bay's going to score. Jordan Love is clicking with those young guys. Matthew Golden, your ass is on the bench too. You're almost dropped. That's how bad you've been for me in fantasy. However, I think Jordan Love, they're riding the high. They're the number 1 seed in the NFC. I told you guys day one of the show. This team, in my opinion, is the favorite to win the NFC now that they got Micah Parsons. I think he's going to have a field day with this Panthers offensive line. The Packers, just too much. I think they handle Carolina convincingly, 37-10. Packers continue to steamroll. And big game ahead next Monday night against the Eagles. So I'm curious, are they going to try to get out to a fast start and then pull guys in the fourth to get healthy for Philadelphia next week? Because that's a big Monday night game next week. And that is one we will be looking at possibly doing a lounge time after that game, because that's going to be a big game for the NFC as a whole. Let's go to MetLife Stadium where the Niners are 2.5-point favorites traveling to the Giants. The over and under is listed at 48.5. Why is the total so high? Do we not know the Giants just lost Cam Scadaboo last week to a very bad ankle injury? And Malik Neighbors has been gone since week 4? Am I missing something? Why is this line so high? I know the Niners lost Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. I know that. Robert Sala's a hell of a DC though, man. I mean, to say they're that bad to give up points-wise, I don't like that. I know the Niners are making a cross-country trip, sort of, right? But, I mean, they did go to Houston last week, and then they got to go to MetLife. So it's kind of halfway if they stayed in Houston and then went to MetLife. I don't know how they do it, but if they went back to Frisco, then there's more travel involved. I like the under because Giants' offensive line is all right. I don't know how Jackson Dart's going to move the ball consistently against Saile, who, mind you, is familiar with the stadium because he was the Jets coach. However, that defense is still good. I don't trust the Niners QB situation, whether it's Purdy or Jones in this game. I do think the Giants will keep it close. There's some pride on the line. That front four with Burns, Carter, Thibodeau, Dexter Lawrence, that's going to give that Niners offensive line a little trouble. That is. And their receivers are banged up too, right? So I like the Niners to win, but I like the under. 19-13 in this game. Heavy field goal game. Might be rain too. Okay? Take the under in this game. This line smells over and under wise, but I like the Niners to win. 19-13. Okay? Denver Broncos travel to Houston to take on the Texans, where the Texans are a 1.5 favorite over the Broncos. The over and under is listed at 39.5. See, now this is where I'm going to get some jokes from my uncle and be like, you know, Rich, you nailed that prediction. I mean, you are so dang accurate for how you nail it. It's actually insane. I do a horrible impersonation of him. He's probably laughing a little bit right now. But I bet that's what he's saying right now, okay? I have it right at the total, but not the half a point, but I have it right there, okay? I have Denver 23-16 on Houston. Why? Denver's defense, their pass rush, hellacious. They're looking to get a receiver at the deadline. Let's see what they do. Texans O-line, garbage. So strength against weakness, Denver's pass rush. Bo Nix has been getting better. That depth Texans defense, though, top in points allowed. It's going to be hard to earn points on this team. J.K. Dobbins is the X factor. If they can run the ball with him, they have a shot to score points. Sean Payton knows points are a premium in this game. C.J. Stroud, this is a must-win for the Texans because that division, it ain't looking like it's going to be yours, but you're going to have to fight for the wild card. And in the AFC right now where you've got teams kind of all looking good and they need to get on a roll. But I like Denver to win, though, because, I kind of want them to win the AFC West a little bit, so that way the bandwagons can sweat making the playoffs a little bit. Plus, Yoham's rooting for the Broncos as well, so I got that element. Plus, I just think that the Denver pass rush, how are they going? I think they're going to have their way with Stroud. I don't like the Texans' offensive line. Surtain is banged up, though. That is a thing to monitor because Nico Collins might be okay. Riley Moss got flagged a couple times with Dallas. I like Denver to win. It'll be a little ugly. 23-16. I think they'll get enough plays. I just trust Sean Payton and company to get it right. That defense, though, is the story. The pass rush is good. They're going to get to Stroud. The sacks keep going up, and they're on pace to break the 84 Bears record as far as sacks, which is crazy to think already. The Bears travel to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, where the Bears are 3-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 51.5. So Joe Flacco's banged up. Might not play. Jake Browning might be the guy again, and we have seen how bad he's looked so far. Yet, why is this over and under total so high again? No, this is way high. I would lean the under. I would, because Jake Browning has not been good. The Bears defense, I know they look bad against Baltimore. I know the Bengals got playmakers. I just think this is a high number Because, yes, Caleb Williams should do good, but he's a hard guy to trust as far as production is concerned. Now, I expect somebody to go off for me in fantasy this week. Although it might be too much to ask for because my team decides to stop scoring. I'm out, though. I'm like done, okay? However, I do see upsides in matchups that will prevail. This is one of them. I like the Bears to win 23-13. I just think that DeAndre Swift, they're going to try to get the running game going. I've been seeing them lately trying to get the run game going too much. Rome, please do something, bro. If not, I'm trading your ass. I'm trading your ass. And as I say this, my fucking house phone goes off. Anyway, so, you know what? Listen, I just think the Bears, they're not scoring like they used to during their winning streak. But again, the Bengals, if Browning starts, they're not going to score much. Now, if Flacco's playing, it's a little different. That's where I would be like, okay, I can see why the total's there. However, though, I don't like the total if Browning goes. That's why I'm saying lean the under in this game. I'm not going to take the under. However, I'm going to say to you this, 23-13, because I think the Bears are running the ball more, and they're not letting Caleb cook. And there's a lot of questions about how their dynamic, their marriage is going with Caleb Williams and Ben Johnson, which when the winning streak was going good, and now that they lost to the Ravens, it's bad. And I know he hasn't looked great. Between the inconsistency of Caleb and the fact that they're trying to run and the quarterback situation in Cincinnati, take the under, okay? The Saints travel to Los Angeles to take on the Rams, where the Rams are 14-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 43.5. If you're a smart man, you know, take the Rams team total over. Sean McVay plays his former defensive coordinator. Brandon Saile is with the Saints. Tyler Shaw is starting for the Saints. He's a rookie. I don't know how the Saints are going to move the ball on a very good Rams defense that is second in points allowed. And to me, arguably has taken a big leap this season from last year defensively. And I think that they are cooking with gas. If there's one team, I think right now, that can beat the Packers for the NFC and challenge them, it's this team. I learned last 2 years, do not bet against Sean McVay. Ride the wave, Rams cruise control, 40-16. They handle the Saints, and I hope Devontae Adams goes off for me in fantasy because that's the only good thing I have. But knowing them, if Puka comes back, they're going to feed Puka. Although I hope for my case, I can be happy in fantasy because I can't stand it. Although I've quit on my team. I feel like I've quit. Jaguars travel to Vegas to take on the Raiders, where the Jags are 3-point favorites. Over and under is listed at 44.5. Bowers is supposed to come back for the Raiders, which is a good sign. Jaguars coming off a bye. So is Vegas for the most part. So both teams coming off a bye. I like the Jaguars a little bit in this game. Because the one thing that I think will be the deciding factor is Geno Smith is tied for the league lead in interceptions. Jacksonville, at one point, I don't know if this is still true, they're number one in takeaways on defense. So, again, weakness, strength in this game. Give me the team that knows how to take the ball away because Geno Smith cannot protect the football. And the Raiders, to me, their offensive line is not very good. The Jaguars got embarrassed against London. They're going to want to come out playing much better. I like the Jaguars to win 27-17. I feel like that Travis Etienne, if they can get him going, that's going to be your key. If they can't get him going, it's going to be a close game, although I'm hoping Brock Bowers does good because I'm about to start him. I'm a little worried first game back. I'm hoping he does good. He has had one good game this season before he got hurt. And I'm never taking injured players again. At least now, for these remaining 6 weeks, whether it's, and I know Hampton's supposed to come back for the Chargers later. I know Godwin's banged up from last year's injury. I know Burrow got banged up. I am never taking a flyer on injured players ever again. Bowers, I hope you go off. because I need you to produce points. Trevor Lawrence, though, this should be a game, though, you win. I think the Jaguars win. They go to 5-3, 27-17. They will get 2 takeaways on Geno, I think. Give me the Jags. And again, my uncle's going to laugh. It's right at that over and under total, 44.5. I have it at 44. 27-17, Jaguars over the Raiders. The Chiefs travel to Buffalo to take on the Bills in Orchard Park. It's funny because this line just moved. I first looked at it, it was Chiefs 1.5. Now it's 2.5 Chiefs, and the Bills getting 2.5 at home. The over and under is listed at 52.5. Now, I want to provide some notes to this context. The Bills have beaten the Chiefs in the last 4 regular season matchups. 24, 23, 22, and 21. Okay? The last time the Chiefs won a regular season matchup was against the Bills was in 2020 in Buffalo on a Thursday night. Josh Allen. Everybody knows you can win against Mahomes in the regular season. You have yet to do it in the postseason. Now, Chiefs bandwagons. I'm willing to make an olive branch with you for this week. And I know you probably hate me because I call you Chiefs bandwagons. And I insult you when I can. I am willing to call an olive branch for you guys to win this week. Because if New England beats Atlanta and the Bills lose, that means the Patriots' AFC East chances go up. And if I hope that there is ammunition for the Chiefs not winning against Buffalo in the regular season in the last 4 years, Andy Reid's going to have this team ready to go. Bills' secondary is banged up. The Chiefs are cooking really good on offense right now. They had a sluggish first half against Washington, though. But if this team that has been cooking on offense shows up and wins, that means our AFC East division hopes go up. And that looks good because our schedule looks favorable while the Bills' schedule looks a little dicey. And I saw some teams they might lose to, and I'm going, okay. Now, you're going to have to worry about James Cook because that dude, if he gets going, watch out. Josh Allen, he's had his way with them. This is what worries me. I'm going to take the Chiefs for personal rooting interest because I think Andy Reid has something that he knows that he's like, okay, guys, we can't lose 5 years in a row to the Bills in the regular season. It just can't happen. Buffalo, shaky in the defense. They are trying to add a receiver. And if I know Spags is going to try to see what can work against Josh Allen. And it somehow always works in the playoffs. But when it comes to the regular season, he always carves them up. And again, I'm expecting Josh Allen to go off. I am. I am going to say this to you, though. Can the Chiefs defense get me the big stop in the game like they did in the playoffs last year? If they can, I'm happy for the time being. Now, I know Yohim's mad at me, and I know he's rooting against me for this 1 week. I want my chances of the Patriots winning the AFC East to go up, so I have to root against them this week. Plus, if the Chargers and Broncos keep winning, that means the bandwagons are going to sweat a playoff appearance. And that bodes well for both of us. See, there's something in my mind that's working, but we need the Chiefs to win this week. So I'm calling an olive branch on Chiefs bandwagons to not hate me for this week and to come together and root for 1 week, maybe 2 with the Colts in a few weeks. But I'm going to say this. Let's come together for 1 week with a common foe in Buffalo. Beat them. And hopefully we'll take care of Atlanta. And then my Patriots continue to game games up on the AFC East for the Bills. And I remain happy. Chiefs win 31-27 on the Bills. I think both teams are going to score. I love the over in this game. But I think there's no way the Chiefs lose 5 straight regular season meetings to the Bills in the regular season. Andy Reid and company, they get a win. And they are rolling 31-27 Chiefs over the Bills. Seattle travels to Washington to take on the Commanders, where Seattle's a 3-point favorite. The over and under is at 47.5. Here we go again. My uncle's going to make a joke, man. You know, he's going to be like, your picks are right on the money with the lines. They are. This one's right there, again, by a point, by half a point. I have Seattle 30-17 on the Commanders. I don't know if Jaden Daniels is going to play. I don't know if Marcus Mariota is going to start. I don't think the Commanders have any answer for Jackson Smith and Jigba, who, by the way, if we're being honest, could be another Rich Sale All-Pro nod to my All-Pro team. He low-key could be one of the receivers. He's been balling. Sam Darnold has been playing good, but the Commanders, Lattimore has been absolutely cooked, and I think that Seattle goes into Washington, gets a big win, and I think Seattle is the dark horse in the NFC that could scare a lot of people because defensively, they could change some looks up, and I think that Kingsbury and them, they're going to score a little bit, but they're not going to win the game. 30-17 Seahawks over the Commanders. Now to Monday night. The Cardinals travel to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 2.5-point favorites. The over and under is listed at 54.5. See, I'm not even calling this kid a fan. See, guys, I have a friend of mine that watches the show. He is not a sports fan. He claims he's a Cardinals fan. And I pick on him too much. I do. But it's true. This man plays League of Legends while watching the Cardinals game. He doesn't watch the games. He's a fake fan. The dude has lost every game since he wore a Marvin Harrison Jr. jersey for their game against Seattle. He is part of a curse that somehow every team he picks sucks. He's a TCU guy. He's an Arizona Cardinals fan, and yet he was supposedly a Knicks fan, but now he ditched them, so I don't know where his NBA team is. But he's not a real sports fan, guys, okay? This is a game that I expect to be high scoring. I am taking the Cowboys to win this game. Why, you ask? They win one week, lose again, come back to earth. Or it's the other way around. They lose a game and they win the next week. Okay, so loss, win. Loss, oh, they tied. Felt like a win. Beat the Jets, lost to the Panthers. They beat the Commanders, lose to the Broncos pretty bad. So where does the scale say? Take the fucking Cowboys to win. I love the over. Bam night. They literally just signed Michael Carter off the fucking practice squad. If fucking J.K. Dobbins ran wild and R.J. Harvey went off against this defense, can you put up more than 12 points this week? I hate losing in fantasy. Can you go off? I literally had to beat some people to them because I'm fucking second to last on my waiver wire this week. Can you go off? Bam night, please. Pretty please with sugar on top. Pretty please go off. Cowboys win 38-28. Love the over, and I'm doing it. My uncle, my cousin are probably going to be like, no, Rich, I'm doing it. The Dallas Cowboys are going to beat the Arizona Cardinals, and the game will go over. Guarantee. I'm doing it again. I'm doing it again. Cowboys will win this game. I am so confident in this. Okay? And this is coming from a guy who has his dad is a Cowboys fan, 2 cousins as Cowboy fans, my uncle's a Cowboy fan. This is over. Point total. Cowboys win. Cardinals, sinking ship. They will score, though, especially if Kyler's back. They will score. Let's get to Survivor, where I'm going to be honest, guys. I know who I would have picked this week if I was alive in my pools. The Falcons sunk the last ship for me. However, in my mind, I should have taken the Eagles. That's my own fault. However, for those that have still Survivor pools alive, there are 3 clear options this week, and you have to be smart with who you have left. And I'm going to tell you the 3. It's the Rams against the Saints. It's the Chargers against the Titans. And it's the Packers. Now, the Packers are 3rd in my list because I used them against the Bengals. if you want to go with one of the LA teams, this is the perfect week. Rams play the Saints. They're home. That would probably be my number one because they are cooking with gas. And I think Sean McVay, off the bye, love them this week. Especially if Puka's back, take the Rams. That's a slam dunk pick. That is literally the fucking lock of Survivor. My overwhelming favorite for the week. Chargers will be 2 because I think this is one of those games they could win. And yes, Joe Alt's coming back healthy, which is good. I like the Chargers as a second choice, but again, that's if you've taken the Rams, and then Green Bay's third. If you didn't take them against the Bengals, this is a really good spot too. So Rams, Chargers, Packers, my top 3 for survivors. There's nobody else this week. Maybe the Lions 4, but those 3 take guarantee locks. Give me those 3 teams. Rams 1, Chargers 2, Packers 3, and I would have took the Rams and Survivor convincingly, and then I would have still been alive had I taken the Eagles and stuck it to my original pick. That's my own fault. Anyway, guys, those are the Survivor picks, the guarantees, the college football picks, and the update on some of the NFL trade talk. Now, for Tuesday, we will go over every trade that happens between right after the show is done to Tuesday, right before the deadline. Everything we'll go over Tuesday. I'm going to have a guest in the studio. We're going to update our AFC and NFC teams who will make the playoffs, who could maybe make a dark horse run. So that'll be Tuesday's episode. So no episode Monday. You guys can kick back a little bit. You don't have to worry about me. No recaps. We're just going to go straight into trade deadline talk and then mid-season point, some takeaways, thoughts on some teams that can surge and that can contend and teams that could be dark horses. And then we'll be back to our original scheduled episode releases with Thursday. So just to let you guys know, we're going to be back on normal schedule Thursday. So Tuesday, trade deadline show, post thoughts, and some updates on midseason. And then Thursday will be the picks like we do always for college football and NFL. And then we're going to get into college basketball shortly because college basketball is starting soon. And I have to give you guys some of my teams that I really think could make a run. And plus, I'm a Zags fan. I hope they do good. You can follow me on X at Loungetime Pod. We're growing something there. We got some Patriot fans that we've been able to get for support. Thank you, guys. Now we just need you to subscribe to Lounge Time. Can you do that? You can hit the subscribe button. You can hit that notification bell. Hit that like button. Comment something down below. You can help us grow the channel. Help us grow this thing. We're at mid-season, man. We're only going to get better with content. We're only going to get better if you guys help grow the channel. It helps the algorithm too. Plus, you can also follow us on Rumble. We just gained a new subscriber on Rumble. Thank you for helping us grow as a channel. We're expanding. Rumble has been another platform that we're looking to get more episodes there and get another audience in there. So you can follow me on Rumble too. This episode will be out later today. And then every episode going forward will be on YouTube and Rumble and then at Loungetime Pod on X. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in to Loungetime. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I will see you guys now on Tuesday for the big post-trade deadline show and the mid-season thoughts. See you guys then.